Beyonce. So I said, oh, Beyonce got ass. Ask me why I wasn't dead after I said Beyonce.
Terry Lynn Carrington, who put together Beyonce's entire female band, which was Matthew Knowles' idea because he couldn't get Beyonce to stop.
Hey, guess you didn't know your daughter well enough because she just started.
Cuckold, right? He likes to watch Beyonce with other men. Ray J, from what I heard, even before all this happened, was one of the guys that used to Beyonce while Jay-Z would watch.
Orlando Brown is putting Beyonce's name back in the spotlight again, and this time his claims are seriously wild. He's suggesting that behind Beyonce's carefully protected public image, there may be a completely different side that fans rarely get to see. Orlando has even made shocking claims about her private health and personal life, but there's no solid public evidence proving those specific accusations, so we're not going to present them as facts. What makes this story so messy is the huge difference between Beyonce's public image and what critics like Orlando try to paint behind the scenes. For years, she's been known for keeping things low-key, rarely responding to drama, and staying focused on her music and business. But Orlando's version of events suggests that this silence is actually part of a much more calculated approach to protecting her reputation. And that's where things start getting interesting. Once people online began digging through old interviews, performances, lyrics, and strange celebrity stories, they started connecting dots and building all kinds of theories. Some pointed towards speculation about her relationships, while others focused on the mysterious or spiritual imagery that has appeared throughout her career. But internet theories can move crazy fast, especially when a celebrity this massive is involved. And some of the claims surrounding Beyonce have become increasingly bizarre, including accusations involving secret practices and unusual symbolism. Apparently, those wild party stories were only the beginning. For years, Beyonce has faced endless online speculation about her private relationships. But the chatter got even louder after reports claimed she once attended The Box, a nightclub famous for its edgy and provocative performances. According to one account, Beyonce arrived with 3 female friends, while a large bodyguard and curtains around the VIP area reportedly gave the group plenty of privacy. An eyewitness later claimed Beyonce was fully enjoying the club's adults-only burlesque show. The source said she was sitting near a table in the VIP balcony, cheering during some of the more daring performances, and reportedly staying at the venue until around 3:30 in the morning. Of course, enjoying a provocative nightclub performance doesn't prove anything about someone's private relationships, but that didn't stop people online from turning the story into something much bigger. And then another familiar name entered the conversation, Jaguar Wright. Her comments would push the controversy in an even more dramatic direction. And if you've followed Jaguar Wright for any amount of time, you already know she has never been shy about calling Beyonce out. She has repeatedly made explosive accusations about the superstar, including claims involving mysterious spiritual practices. But here's where the story gets even stranger. Some fans were already questioning Beyonce's own words long before Jaguar jumped into the conversation. A lot of that attention goes back to Beyonce's famous Sasha Fierce alter ego. While explaining how different she felt when stepping into that character on stage, Beyonce once said, "Right before I performed for the BET Awards, I raised my hands, and it was the first time I felt something else come into me. I knew that was going to be my coming out night at the awards show." Some people later took that description literally and connected it to darker theories, even though an intense stage persona doesn't prove anything supernatural. Then, in 2018, the situation took another dramatic turn. Beyonce's former drummer, Kimberly Thompson, who had previously worked with her for years, made serious accusations about unusual behavior she claimed was happening behind the scenes.
Beyonce's ex-drummer of 7 years, she is seeking a restraining order against Beyonce. She's accusing her of dark magic, witchcraft, tapping into her phone bill, and basically controlling her finances, harassing her. She's saying that Beyonce is put up a huge harassment campaign against her.
Those claims quickly exploded across entertainment blogs and social media, giving people even more material to debate. Thompson also claimed that after their professional relationship fell apart, she experienced intimidating behavior that she connected to Beyonce. These were allegations rather than established findings, but once the story hit the internet, it added another controversial chapter to the theories already surrounding Beyonce's carefully guarded private world.
and it's overall witchcraft. She sought a restraining order in the past. It got denied, and she has another one scheduled for October 11th. But the internet is just like, what? Excuse me? And, you know, I was just at the Beyonce concert last week in Houston. It was definitely a religious experience.
Things eventually became serious enough that Beyoncé's former drummer sought a restraining order, saying she felt threatened by what she believed was happening around her. The request itself attracted major attention, although filing for legal protection doesn't automatically prove the accusations behind it. But Orlando Brown's more recent comments pushed the controversy into even wilder territory. He tried to connect Beyoncé and Jay-Z to Diddy's controversial social circle, while also making several highly personal allegations. There's no reliable basis to treat those allegations as fact. So the bigger story here is how quickly explosive celebrity rumors can spread online. At first, plenty of people didn't know what to make of Orlando's story. Beyoncé has spent decades maintaining a controlled and private public image, which made his version of events especially shocking to fans. Then people started resurfacing old interviews, legal filings, celebrity connections, and past controversies, trying to piece together what was real and what had simply become internet lore. Do you remember when Rihanna's former publicist, Jonathan Hay, made headlines with some seriously explosive comments about Jay-Z?
Jay-Z with transgender women? You personally?
I have, correct. It was during the tour. It was during the tour with the Mill, DMX, Jay-Z.
The Hard Knock Life.
No.
Or maybe a different one.
Yeah, they had the documentary for it. What was that called? I'll think of it. I'll think of it here in a little.
During an interview, Jonathan made claims about Jay-Z's private relationships and suggested he had personally witnessed behavior that didn't match the public image surrounding his marriage to Beyoncé. Since Beyoncé and Jay-Z were still married during the period he was talking about, the story immediately sent social media into detective mode. Then the conversation got even messier. Jonathan tried to compare Jay-Z's alleged private party scene to some of the controversial allegations that have surrounded Diddy.
Yeah, it was a documentary, backstage or the
backstage with the Mill and all that. I used to work with her, and I definitely it was unmistakable. You know, in 2024, the trans women are, you know, it can be hard. You know, like a lot of people that, you know, they don't know, but back then it wasn't as advanced, and you could clearly tell, you know, that was.
He suggested that other famous people were supposedly involved in these private situations, turning what was already a huge celebrity story into something even more dramatic. And one name that unexpectedly entered Jonathan's version of events was Ray J. That instantly caught people's attention because of Ray J's long history of being connected to major entertainment controversies.
Gotta find out who was in this Pimp C tape.
All I can tell you, there was a famous R&B chick, and it was a guy that was getting money at the time. And, you know, Pimp, he used to be in the studio, and every now and then he'd have a camcorder, so he was able to get some footage. And he wanted to do something with the footage, but I don't know why he didn't do nothing with it, but if I could have got a hold of that tape, I'd be a billionaire.
Still, Jonathan's claims about these celebrities' private lives remain his allegations, not something established simply because they were repeated in an interview. And if Jonathan Hay's name sounds familiar, there's a reason. He was also connected to that old controversy involving claims about Jay-Z and Rihanna, meaning this wasn't the first time his comments had landed directly in the middle of a massive celebrity storm. And Jonathan didn't hold back this time either. He added another dramatic layer by claiming that federal investigators had contacted him after his previous comments because, according to him, authorities were already looking into serious accusations surrounding Jay-Z. Because the original version involves claims concerning a young person, we're keeping those graphic and inappropriate details out. What matters here is that Jonathan said investigators questioned him about alleged misconduct and international travel involving Rihanna. That's an extremely serious claim to put out publicly. But speaking confidently doesn't automatically mean somebody has evidence hidden away, and there's a major difference between someone saying investigators contacted them and authorities actually proving wrongdoing. Still, Jonathan's confidence was enough to get people online talking, with some wondering why he seemed so comfortable attaching powerful celebrity names to such explosive accusations.
I know TMZ would have paid a bank for that one, man. But yeah, it is a tape, and if you read the comments, a lot of people figured out. A lot of people figured out because, you know, people that was in Houston at the time, they know who was a little loose, you know, as a Montana goose. So, you know, they also know who was having money at the time. So it's not really hard to figure out. But, you know,
Just
because
tell us. Just say the name.
But no, the only reason why I won't tell it because Pimp C is not here. So therefore, I'm respecting his wishes. If he wanted to get out, maybe he would have put it out. Maybe he might have had to deal with the situation. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe he.
And the chatter didn't end with Jonathan's interview. For years, Beyoncé's extremely private personal life has attracted all kinds of speculation, especially because Jay-Z is essentially the only long-term partner the public strongly associates with her. That secrecy has left plenty of room for internet detectives to dig through old industry connections and turn small details into massive theories. One of the oldest stories people keep dragging back into the conversation involves late rapper Pimp C. Online chatter has long tried to suggest that something private happened between him and Beyoncé years ago, adding yet another messy chapter to the growing pile of celebrity speculation.
We go meet with Dame Dash. So we go after I leave job, we go to Rock to the Rock. As soon as I sit down there, Dame Dash opened up his checkbook, could have checked for $1 million. I'm like, whoa. I was like, is this for sure? He was like, no. He said, we want to use UGK. I was like, what? He's like, we want to split your boys. That's right. So I immediately picked up the phone and called Pimp C, because all I was trying to get was $100,000.
Then the story takes an even darker turn. Online chatter has claimed there was supposedly a private recording involving Beyoncé and Pimp C, with some people even trying to connect Jay-Z to what later happened to the rapper. That's an enormous leap, though, and there's no credible evidence establishing that kind of connection. But the internet theories didn't stop there. Some people began describing the circumstances surrounding Pimp C's passing as mysterious or even symbolic. DJ Paul of 3 6 Mafia once discussed what Pimp C's manager allegedly saw at the scene, including unusual details about how he was found. Those comments were enough for online detectives to start building darker theories about what might have happened behind the scenes. But those theories shouldn't be confused with the documented account. Pimp C's passing was officially attributed to an accidental combination of prescription medication and a pre-existing medical condition.
When Dame cut that $1 million, I called Pimp on the phone like, yo, Pimp, him was in the notes. And I could hear a tussle or some type of confrontation, right? And I'm like, calm down, bro. Y'all calm down, Pimp.
I ran up the cable bill.
They was fighting. Okay, they was fighting like hard. And I'm like, Pimp, stop whatever you doing right now. I told you what's going down with Jamal when you moved him up in there. I said, but right now, I got $1 million check for you. And all we want was $100,000.
So claims suggesting somebody secretly arranged what happened remain unsupported speculation. Pimp C's official passing was documented as an accidental combination of prescription medication and complications from sleep apnea. That's what the coroner determined. So the darker stories floating around online remain theories and secondhand claims, not established facts. Still, conspiracy circles keep digging because there was already known tension surrounding Pimp C and Jay-Z before Pimp passed away. Part of that tension reportedly goes back to the deal that brought Jay-Z and UGK together for the massive hit, Big Pimpin'. According to Greg, after the deal was finalized, he called Pimp C to discuss what was happening. But here's where things got awkward. The call was apparently on speaker, and Pimp reportedly didn't realize other people could hear the conversation. He then started criticizing Jay-Z, creating the kind of uncomfortable industry moment people would keep talking about years later. And the old school stories don't end there. Another rumor that circulated involved Beyonce and Mos Def, with people speculating that the two may once have been unusually close. Then Sifa Sounds added even more curiosity to the conversation when he shared a story about spending an entire weekend around Destiny's Child, opening another chapter in these throwback industry stories.
I DJ'd for Mos Def and we went over to London for some shows and Destiny's Child was performing there. And I don't know if you know this, and don't tell anybody if you don't, but Mos Def kind of used to mess with Beyonce.
Sifa Sounds said that while he was hanging around the group, something about Beyonce and Mos Def caught his attention because they appeared unusually close. That small observation was enough to keep old speculation alive, even though being close at an industry event obviously doesn't establish that anything romantic happened between them. Then, attorney Ariel Mitchell-Kidd entered the conversation with a completely separate and much more serious story. During an interview, she said a potential client had approached her concerning the possible sale of an alleged private recording involving Diddy and another extremely famous celebrity.
I also was just recently contacted by someone who wanted me to essentially represent them in the sale of one of the Diddy tapes. So, which I declined that because...
Wait a minute. Say that again. Say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopped.
We've heard about the tapes.
Yes.
The shopping thing is...
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood.
According to Ariel, the unidentified celebrity was supposedly even more high-profile than Diddy and may not have known that the alleged recording existed. And that vague description immediately sent internet detectives into overdrive. Beyoncé's name quickly started trending in the speculation simply because people considered her one of the relatively few stars whose fame could fit that description. Others tried connecting it back to the older Pimp C story, but Ariel did not publicly identify Beyoncé as the celebrity in question. That missing detail didn't stop social media from trying to connect the dots. And that distinction matters because Ariel's actual comments were already dramatic enough without attaching a name she never gave. Once the interview started circulating, social media users began comparing timelines, old celebrity connections, and previous stories involving Diddy, hoping to figure out who the unnamed A-list celebrity could possibly be. But Beyoncé wasn't the only famous name people discussed.
But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of and to contact the person who was in the video to see if they were interested in purchasing the video before it became a public knowledge.
I've heard this before. So like a catch and
correct.
Wow. Can you, and I guess you can't reveal the person who is on.
No, I can't explain who the person was, but
Mr. Profile?
Mr. Combs was in the tape, and this other person is, I would venture to say, more high profile than Mr. Combs.
Really?
The description was broad enough to fit several major entertainers, which made the certainty surrounding some of those online posts pretty shaky. Still, because Beyoncé and Jay-Z had crossed paths with Diddy publicly over the years at industry events, award shows, and celebrity gatherings, old photos and clips suddenly started resurfacing as people searched for anything they could connect to Ariel's story. That's also when the conversation around Orlando Brown's original claims started blending with completely separate controversies. Instead of one source producing direct evidence, people were taking statements from different interviews, different years, and different celebrities, and trying to build one giant storyline from them. And buried inside all that speculation were old clips that suddenly looked very different to viewers revisiting them years later. One particular connection started getting extra attention, especially after people went back through comments made by other entertainment insiders who claimed they had seen a very different side of these celebrity circles. That's where the old interviews started becoming more important than the flashy social media theories. People began pulling up years-old comments from artists, producers, and former industry insiders who had spoken about how tightly controlled major celebrity circles could be. Some described private parties with strict guest lists, heavy security, and very little access for outsiders. None of that proves the extreme claims being thrown around, but it does explain why so many stories can survive for years without much context. Beyoncé's own approach to fame only added another layer to the mystery. She rarely jumps online to answer every accusation or celebrity rumor attached to her name. Instead, she generally keeps interviews limited and lets her performances, documentaries, and music do most of the talking. That strategy has protected her privacy, but it also leaves a giant empty space that internet detectives are more than willing to fill.
Really? And you've seen it?
And I've seen stills of the video.
Okay. You can verify
that it exists, that it's real, that the other person in the video is very visible. It's no question if it's that person in the video. And I can tell the video was in nature.
Oh my. All right. So we know that he videotaped a lot of activities at his home, did he? And it sounds like there was probably a lot of hidden cameras as well. Is that what is being talked about?
Yes.
And then people started revisiting the celebrities who had publicly crossed paths with Beyoncé and Jay-Z over the years. Certain award show appearances, backstage stories, and old interviews were suddenly being picked apart frame by frame. one resurfaced story stood out because it came from someone who had actually spent time inside those entertainment circles, and their description of how powerful stars handled private situations added a completely different angle to what people had been discussing. That insider perspective opened up another lane entirely. Instead of focusing on the most extreme theories, people started looking at how celebrity information actually moves behind closed doors. Former entertainment workers have described situations where assistants, security teams, managers, and publicists know far more than the public ever sees. But knowing private details and having proof of wrongdoing are two very different things, and that line gets blurry fast once clips start bouncing around social media. That's exactly why old footage involving Beyonce keeps getting pulled back into the spotlight. A facial expression at an awards show, a quick interaction backstage, or somebody telling an awkward story years later can suddenly become evidence once viewers already have a theory in their heads. Some clips are interesting, sure, but others only look suspicious after dramatic captions and chopped-up edits completely change the context. Then another detail started standing out. Several people making these claims weren't telling the same story at the same time. Their comments came from different years and completely different situations, yet internet detectives began placing those clips side by side, searching for overlaps in names, locations, and industry connections. That search eventually brought attention back to people who had worked directly around major stars, and one old account in particular raised questions because it described just how carefully certain private celebrity environments were allegedly controlled.
This was actually in his Atlanta home, at that home he had in Atlanta at one point. And it does seem that the person isn't like looking into the video, so it, to me, doesn't seem like that person knows they're being videotaped. It doesn't seem like they're active participant in the videotaping, like they're being surreptitiously recorded.
That account painted a picture of celebrity spaces where privacy wasn't optional. It was basically part of the operation. According to stories shared by people who've worked around major entertainers, phones could be restricted, certain areas could be off limits, and security sometimes controlled exactly who got close to the biggest names. For stars at Beyonce and Jay-Z's level, that kind of protection isn't exactly shocking, but online detectives started viewing those details through a completely different lens. And this is where context becomes everything. Tight security can simply mean a superstar wants privacy, especially when cameras can turn a 10-second interaction into a week-long headline. But once people already believe something mysterious is happening, normal celebrity precautions can suddenly look suspicious. That's how ordinary backstage stories can get mixed together with much bigger accusations. Another thing people noticed was how often the same handful of celebrity names appeared across completely unrelated interviews. One person might be describing an industry party, another might be discussing an old business disagreement, while somebody else remembers an uncomfortable encounter. Online, those separate stories can get edited together until they appear connected, even when nobody involved originally claimed they were. Then viewers uncovered another older interview involving someone who had been around powerful music executives firsthand. What they described wasn't about one shocking incident, but rather an unwritten set of rules for how people were expected to behave once they entered those private circles. People also pulled up an old DaBaby interview where he described unexpectedly finding himself in a private meeting at Diddy's house with Beyonce and Jay-Z. Naturally, that story got recycled alongside all the other clips people had been digging through, even though simply being at the same private gathering doesn't prove the bigger accusations being attached to it. Then the comments got messy. One commenter claimed they had heard rumors about Beyonce and Jay-Z's private relationship and tried to connect those stories to the famous elevator incident involving Solange. Another person pointed toward Jay-Z's publicly discussed relationship problems and questioned whether that could explain some of the tension people witnessed around the family. Of course, the famous elevator incident has inspired theories for years, but the footage itself doesn't establish what caused that confrontation. So after Orlando Brown's claims, the old interviews, resurfaced celebrity stories, and all those internet theories, what do you think is actually going on here? Do you think people are uncovering meaningful connections, or are completely separate stories being stitched together into one giant celebrity conspiracy? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who follows celebrity drama. I'll catch you in the next one.